Hey, what's up, guys? It's Drew from the Money Is Show, and today we have a special guest on the show for you. One that you're going to love listening to, probably less than I'm going to love interviewing, as we have Rey Perez on the show, who's a personal branding expert, and he wrote a book called Cracking the Celebrity Code, and we're going to actually define what a celebrity is and what's the true definition of it. If you watch the show today, we're going to talk about how to build your personal brand. He's going to give you some top secrets that he's already shared with me in my office, and then I'm going to ask him a ton of questions that will help you identify how to grow your personal brand. He is the global branding expert. You should look that up, and you will find Rey Perez all the way from Miami, Florida. Rey, appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Dude, it's been a great time talking to you in the office, and I will tell you, man, I feel you're the first guy that's came in for a while that I was like, oh man, I should go back to wearing suits. Like as soon as I saw you, I was like, oh man, I love wearing suits. Because we talked about it, I kind of shifted my look and brand maybe like 4 months ago. But you make me miss them, man.
Well, it's interesting how that, because I wasn't always wearing suits.
Yeah.
I would wear a button-down shirt and nice slacks, and I looked sharp, but I wasn't wearing the jacket. And I did an event with some insurance agents.
Yeah.
And I ran their whole event, their whole conference. And at the end of the event, they said, man, you did such a great job. Everybody loved you. But the one thing we want you to do is we want you to start wearing a suit and tie moving forward. Because we're all wearing suit and ties and you're just not up to our brand.
Yeah.
And this was before I was in personal branding. And I'll just never forget, I felt a little insulted, to be honest with you. It hit the ego a little bit. I was like, man, I look good. I don't need to wear a suit and a tie. Next event I did it, but I'll never forget, I went and bought myself a few jackets, kind of like this, and I went to my marketing event. Do you remember Dan Kennedy, GKIC?
Yeah.
We were running the Miami chapter of GKIC.
Okay.
And I show up, I got more compliments. I got more, conversation that one day that I'd had in a very long time.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, what a difference this makes. And that, I'll be honest, that's the first time I really started to experience what personal branding and what this image and perception of value in the world, the difference it can make. Because I was the same person. I just threw on a jacket and all of a sudden people started making comments just like you. So it's interesting. And for those that are watching the show, want them to start thinking, it's not about do you need to wear a suit? It's what is the response you want your audience to have? How do you want to make them feel like, man, you're making me feel like you're wearing a suit. See, that was an emotion that we evoked. And in the end of the day, for those that want to make more sales, you got to do what? You got to create emotional connection with people. So,
well, branding in general has to be an emotional connection. When you talk about a brand, you can think about any brand you want to go think about. I guarantee you there's an emotional connection that has to take place for a brand to really truthfully be a brand and not a company.
100%.
There has to be an emotional connection. And when I used to wear all the three-piece suits and the ties and all the bracelets and jewelry, I was doing it because in that moment of life where I was, that's one of the ways that I created that immediate emotional connection, that immediate, like you said, conversational piece inside of it. And then I kept wearing it for the show. I'm like, why am I wearing it for the show? Because I only wore this for my brand that had changed. And but it's still like part of, working for so long, it becomes part of your almost identity then. And then I had a flashback today with you.
So let me ask you this. Has this ever happened? Has anyone who knows you and has seen you in that suit and that attire, seen you casual and not recognized you?
No.
Or maybe you've just never been in that situation.
Yeah, because mine was so unique because, again, I was literally using it for exactly what you were talking about. I was wearing it during this certain segment of the week when only certain people saw me. And if you were not inside of that piece right there, which was always different people, then you would have never known. It was such a unique atmosphere that I was in.
What is really interesting and funny for me, and I've realized it through experience, right? Like we were talking earlier, trial and error. So my assistant is so used to seeing me in the suits, and we're always working virtually. Even before COVID or anything, we had always been working virtually. So we did a live event, and for after 2 years, we hadn't physically seen each other. And I'm checking out of the hotel. I'm wearing a t-shirt, a baseball cap. She walks right by me and I go, what, you don't even say good morning? And she looks like, oh my God, I didn't recognize you.
Right.
Because I wasn't in the suit. And in their mind, that's like, I always say it's like, we're all superheroes,
Very true.
right? We got superhero powers. Well, your suit or your outfit is your superhero costume, right? And people will start to put in their mind this look. And if they see you outside of that, there's like this disconnect in their brain that goes off and
A little bit of what they call brand identity,
100%,
right?
100%.
Like, as a person, when you put that as a person, if I'm not for now, it was to me to you. From here on out, when I think of Rey Perez, I will think about suit. Just when I just visually think about you, right? That brand identity, I will think about suit. If you were, it's not that I care either way, but that is what you want to be remembered as. That's what you want to be known as, and it works. It freaking works.
That's actually the question or the statement we tell our clients when they're going to come in for my talk show.
Yeah.
We say, wear what you want your audience to picture in their mind when they say your name.
Yeah, it's 100% true. And it's also very authentic to who you are. Like, if I currently right now enjoyed wearing my suits, that's what I would still be wearing right now.
Yeah.
But I just, for me, just where it was in my process of the journey, if you will, it was just at a shifting moment. But it's always like this part of me.
Well, you're also in a different level, a different stage of success. You're in a different comfort zone than you were before.
Yeah.
So that's one thing for people to understand. There is no wrong or right. There is no better one than the other. It just depends where you're at on that entrepreneurial journey.
Yep.
Right. And back then, you couldn't rock it like this on stage.
No.
You know it. I know it.
I would have plummeted into where I was. It doesn't matter if I have a high-end pair of sneakers on. Nobody would have cared. Nobody would have cared.
You can have a $100,000 watch. It would not make a difference.
No, I agree.
Because that perception, and that's really what that book is all about, is celebrity. What is celebrity? Celebrity, I believe, and what I've broken down to this formula, it's a perception of value that one human being puts on another.
Okay.
But that perception of value is based on what they see, what they hear, and what they read about that person. And when we're building someone's brand, we break it down. And you said brand identity. We break that identity down in 3 categories. The visual identity, what they see. The verbal identity, what they say or what they write, copywriting. And the value identity. Who are they really? What's their mission and purpose? Which is actually the piece that most entrepreneurs miss.
Okay.
And that's what gives you longevity. That's what creates raving fans that stick with you forever. And I'll share a little bit more about that in a moment, but I've really realized through going through this experience, where you're at in your life, what is the goal you're trying to achieve will dictate how you're going to manage your personal brand.
Let's talk more about celebrity, the book here, the cracking the celebrity code. It's not called the celebrity code.
No.
It's called cracking the celebrity code. Why did you call it, which is almost different because most brands, let's just say, a lot of brands are trying to become a celebrity, right? And you could have said how to become a celebrity code, or what is a celebrity code, or whatever. But yours is called cracking it, the celebrity code. What does that mean?
Well, if I asked you what is a celebrity, what would you say?
Good question. My initial thought just goes immediately to Hollywood. I'm just talking out loud, right? It's like Hollywood, movie stars, someone that I view as blank, whatever it is, Tom Cruise, right? I have this perception, viewpoint of him, and I say, okay, he's a celebrity.
Perfect. What's your favorite celebrity?
Oh man, I don't know.
What's one that you like?
I'll just stay with Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
I just watch Scientology stuff.
Perfect.
I'll stay with that one.
So Tom Cruise. So do you feel some level of emotional connection to Tom Cruise? Like, do you feel you kind of know him? Like he's a cool guy? Like
sure. Yeah.
You've created this.
Good or bad, let's just say yes though.
Correct, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever met Tom Cruise?
No.
So can you explain to me how you have those feelings about Tom Cruise when you've never met Tom Cruise?
Never met him. Never talked to him. Never text messaged him. Never emailed him. Nothing, right?
So you never DM'd you?
No DMs, and I've DM'd him a lot. No, but so it's a great point. So how do you feel that connection?
Well, let me ask you this, because you're like me. We don't really have celebrity crushes, but there's a lot of humans.
No, I totally get it. I understand.
There's a lot of people. So how do people?
Maybe an athlete would be a good one.
Well, I always say it's a movie star, rock star, musician, or athlete.
Yeah.
That's the 3 main celebrity categories, right? But would you say that there's people in the world that love Tom Cruise?
100%. 100%.
But they've never met him. So how does a human being create this emotional connection to another human being that they've never met in their life? That's the code I broke. Because a celebrity is just a perception of value that one human being puts on another based on their accolades and what they've accomplished and what they've done in the world. But really, if we break it down, is to what they see, what they hear, and what they read about this person multiplied by several exposures over time. So over the course of time, this new person comes on TV, they're on the radio, it's a new athlete that just came out of college, and now we watch the game, and then we hear him on the ESPN, and then he goes on a podcast, and then we read an article. As these exposures to what you see, hear, and read start to happen over the course of time, in your mind, this perception of value starts going up a few notches, until it gets to a point where you've had enough exposures that they're now considered a celebrity in your perception.
Yeah.
One of my best favorite examples that I make is, do you know who Les Brown is?
Yeah.
Okay, so for those that don't know who Les Brown is, he is the #1 motivational speaker in the planet and all time. Tony Robbins is the #1 transformational speaker. But Les Brown is #1 motivational, hands down, there's no questions asked. Les Brown is a client of mine. He actually wrote the foreword to the book.
Yeah, I see right here.
I've done his personal branding. I book him to speak at events. So when someone hears that Les Brown is a personal client, he's in all my videos, he refers to me as a good friend of his, that elevates my perception of value.
Right.
But a young millennial, nothing against the millennials, who doesn't know who Les Brown is, makes no difference to them.
Right.
Because his perception of value in their mind is zero.
Correct.
Because they've had zero exposures to what they've seen, heard, or read about Les Brown. Now, they go on Google and they pull up a YouTube video and they watch him speak to 90,000 people at the Georgia Dome and listen to his speech and go, oh my God, this guy's amazing. Then they find another a podcast, and then they watch him and then they connect with him on Facebook. After a certain amount of these exposures, Les Brown is now a celebrity in their mind. And Ray works with Les Brown. Ray's, my perception just went up. But that happened based on mental perception, based on those key factors of seeing, hearing, and reading, multiplied by the exposures. So once I broke this down into like a formula, I said, how can I do this for entrepreneurs? Because that's who my clients are: speakers, coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs who are the face of their business. So I started thinking, in the world of branding and marketing, how can I create for someone to become a celebrity in their niche or industry? Because if you're an athlete, you're a celebrity in sports.
Right.
If you're Tom Cruise, you're a celebrity in movies.
Right.
But he's not a celebrity in sports.
Yeah.
So he's a celebrity within an industry or a niche. So it's the same thing for you or for me.
Right.
What niche, what industry are we in? How do we create the celebrity status? And in the end of the day, it doesn't even matter what niche or industry is. What matters is this: how many exposures has the person had to you of what they've seen, heard, and read, and is it of high value? Because they can see and hear a lot of stuff and it could be low value and it could be the reverse. And how do you generate that using social media, using online, using mobile marketing? How do we get all of this to happen consistently and intentionally? Back in 2003, I saw the movie The Secret. Do you remember when that came out?
Yep.
Talking about the law of attraction?
Yep.
Well, when I watched it, I said, holy moly, this is what I've been doing. But I didn't have language to put to what I was doing. I was just doing it by default.
Right.
After I watched The Secret, I knew what I was doing, how I was doing it, and I was able to be intentional. It's the same thing about this book. This happened because I personally, 4 years ago, started to become a speaker like you. And I started to realizing, wait a second, I can be more effective at this process if I don't just speak and sell to this audience. If I provide value and let them connect with me after the presentation, that can grow my brand. And because of that, now I've grown a following, I've grown connections, I can launch a business, and I can plug this audience into that business, and I can see revenues when before I would have had to gone out and resell. And that little tiny formula has become very successful for me, and now it's turned into an entire business model where basically we'll build someone's brand in 2 to 3 days. We'll build their entire brand.
Now, is this, we talk about the perception and then the creating the on multiple platforms or multiple, you call it exposures, and then over a long period of time, right? Is this part of the 3 V's? It is the 3 V's, or is this one of the 3 V's?
So the 3 V's is how we build the brand identity,
Okay.
right? So it's a verbal identity, visual identity, and value identity.
Okay.
So when we're building someone's brand, we say first, visual. What is this person's brand gonna look like? what are the colors? So I'm not sure if you know this, but every color has an emotion connected to it.
Super important.
What we first look at is, what are the emotions? We don't look at the color. And I ask the client, what emotion do you want your client to feel when they see your personal brand? I look at the words, they tell me the word, based on the words, that's how we pick the color.
It's so rare that entrepreneurs understand that concept right there. Most of the time you go sit down and talk to someone and you say, they say when they're starting to build their company brand, they're like, I love the colors blue and yellow. And it's like, that has nothing to do.
That's like 98% of my clients.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with how you pick colors of your company. Like if I go through my companies right now, they have a color for a reason, and it's not because I like the color. Sometimes I actually don't like the color.
Correct.
Right? But I'm trying to, part of that is I'm trying to evoke an emotion, because that color has a identifying feeling attached to that color right there.
I would say that the number one color we use for my clients is blue.
Sure, yeah.
And some people are like, all your clients are blue. And the answer is yes and no. The reason the majority of my clients are blue is because the majority of them do some level of coaching or consulting. Doesn't matter if it's in finance, if it's in medical, if it's in health and nutrition, the industry doesn't matter. If you're a coach and consultant, what's the number one thing you want your potential clients to feel? Trust.
Therefore it's blue.
I don't care if you like blue or not.
It's such a simple concept, but it's simple once you understand it, but it's magnificent once you can comprehend it. And as soon as I saw your brand and the 360 site, which I want to get into, and I saw the background of that, and then I saw the suit that you're doing, like just understanding branding, I knew exactly what you were doing. You were creating trust. And that's what you're doing.
And there's literally a science to this, right?
Yeah,
we are so like the law of attraction, now that I understand it, I can apply it and I can be intentional.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with my personal brand. Now that I understand how it's all been put together and formulated, I can be intentional in everything I do.
Let me ask you this. When you talk about that, obviously you have a blue jacket on today, right? Does that mean that 7 days a week you tend to wear blue?
My primary color in my closet, and I got a lot of suits, I got like 48 suits, are primarily blue.
Some shade color.
I do, correct. Multiple shades of blue, textures, you name it. I do have some red and maroon. And then I'll match it with a blue pocket square, or I'll wear some, and then I have some light grays as well. Okay. But you're not gonna see me wearing an orange or depending, sometimes I have like a red jacket.
Right.
And I wore that for a particular event, was with contractors from all across the country. I did an event. So I wore red, their brand color was red, and red is an excitement color, and I was the host of the event. So I wore it for that particular situation. Right. But when people think Rey Perez, they're thinking blue suit.
Yeah.
And
it's on purpose.
And they don't realize it, but they're thinking trust.
Yeah, for sure. So part of let's go back to the 3 V's here. You've got the first one being vision, which is what you're talking about now. Any other big, I know there's 1,000 subpoints you have under vision, but just for our episode today to help people.
Besides color.
High level point you want to hit right now?
Your image.
The image itself?
I call it a hero shot.
The hero shot? Okay.
Why? Because I believe everyone's a superhero.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a superpower. My job and my God-given talent is to pull your superpower out, put it into language, and turn it into a brand so the world can see, and most importantly, connect with it.
Yeah.
So when we're doing the visual identity, colors are very important, right? Like my new brand color, I'm wearing a red suit, but my entire freaking branding is blue. And I'm wearing a white shirt, red, white, and blue. And the dominant color is blue. So I have more trust, and I still have that US American built into it, all thought out. So second would be your look. Okay. And you just said it. Do you want your brand, when people think of Andrew, are they thinking of you in a t-shirt and kicks, or are they thinking of you in a 3-piece suit? Right. What do you want them to feel? And that's completely subjective, right?
Yeah, that's what's great about it. There is no right or wrong answer. It's literally, and this I love this because I very, very rarely, I can only think of maybe like 3 other people that I get to have this conversation with, because everything you do inside of branding is based off of a feeling.
Correct.
And without getting deep into the difference between branding and marketing and advertising, branding by far is my favorite one. Like marketing and advertising to me is like, anybody can do that crap. I love the branding side of it because it's all based around what is that feeling. Everything in my office is based around a feeling that I'm going to give to you. 100%. When you walk down that hallway, that's a feeling I'm creating there for you, right? When you smell stuff, the scent in my office, that was on purpose. Yep. Because I was creating an experiential feeling that I was trying to evoke from you.
And it's that money smell.
It is.
So everyone, be very clear, you guys know. Smell of money when you walk in.
It is a very richly money-like smell. And but most people just never understand it. They just a lot of times people will walk in just like, oh wow. I'm like, I did all that on purpose.
Yeah, well, they don't need to
not in a
know.
bad way, not in a negative
don't.
way, but that's my job, is to create a feeling from the customer.
So here's the thing. Feeling evokes emotion.
Right.
All buying decisions are based on emotion backed by logic.
Yeah, but emotion first.
So if you didn't really sit down, the reason why it's so powerful is because when they have this feeling, this experience, they're creating an emotional connection. Once you have that connection, you have separated yourself from all your competitors.
Yeah.
Because you can have the similar product, similar service, similar price point, but if you have an emotional connection with your audience, that is something that no one else can duplicate. And that's why I've discovered that personal branding is so valuable, especially in today's day and age, right? I could be talking about this 10 years ago and it could be relevant, but today it's not just relevant, it's mandatory. Look at what we just went through with COVID. Having this online digital brand presence is almost mandatory. People that I used to speak on the circuit with, they like disappeared.
Gone.
From one day to the next.
Gone.
I just shifted
crazy.
And my business went up.
Yeah.
Because I had been working for so long on this brand.
And people that have never spoke before, but have a influence, have created an emotional attachment to other people, if they wanted to, could literally go like start from TikTok. TikTok.
Well, it's happening every day. The thing is, they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's trial by error, right? So the beautiful thing about what we teach our entrepreneurs is like, we've really figured it out. I have figured it out through trial and error. And now I've created a system, and I don't really think anybody else in the world has dove into this sliver.
I don't think so. Because you have a very, very unique niche that just is not out there, that every entrepreneur should go do, but it's just not out there.
Well, most entrepreneurs are not even aware of it.
Yeah.
Like
the other thing I think that happens to most entrepreneurs is they don't understand the difference between branding and marketing. They don't understand the difference, and they go straight towards marketing, and they start creating funnels and clicks and everything else.
100%.
That's where they go first.
So that is basically your personal brand is here. Marketing drives eyeballs.
Oh man, it's so good.
Advertising drives eyeballs. But if you haven't worked on the thing that they're ending up on,
yeah.
So then they wonder why their conversions, why their numbers, oh, Facebook's a waste of money, this is a waste of money. No, you never worked on the most important thing, which is what they're landing on, which is your personal brand, your message, your language, how you look, are you consistent? Mm-hmm. Because if the marketing could be awesome, but if it's driving it to something that's not convertible, then it makes no difference. That's why I love what I do, because I can work with every marketing person, every social media person, every branding person.
Not the same thing.
Because I'm just a foundation to make them more effective.
Well, I've always viewed it, into what you think about this, I've always said that in branding, marketing, advertising, I've always compared it as branding is the center or the axle of a wheel. Mm-hmm. Take a bicycle, I used to say, and branding is the centerpiece of it. Marketing is what the message is, right? So it's what you're saying. Marketing is the message of what you're saying. Advertising is now where you say that message at, right? So Facebook, Instagram, et cetera, it's where you're saying the message at. And inside of this wheel, you have branding in the middle, and as you say whatever it is, around it, the spokes driving into it, if we drove it all into it, is all the advertising that's driving. Everything has to be driven back to the brand.
That's correct.
Not the sales point. You can't drive it to a sales point. You have to drive it to the brand if you want longevity of your career. If you're just trying to make a quick dollar, sure, you can go do whatever you want. You can drive it to a landing page and a close and a sale. But just understand you're gonna have to keep doing that and keep doing that and keep doing that forever. And you'll never be able to stop. If you focus on the brand, eventually you can actually stop marketing advertising, or I should say stop advertising.
Correct.
Because the brand is so big, and now natural influence drives people to the brand.
Your conversions will be higher. You'll get paid more than you have before.
There's no way around it.
You'll have new opportunities that you never had.
It's a guarantee. That's what's going to happen.
And branding is who you are. Marketing is what you say.
Yeah.
And then the advertising is where you're putting it out into
where you
the world.
Say it.
So I agree with you 100%. The problem is there's nobody teaching this.
No one teaches. Like, dude, I haven't had this conversation with anybody, maybe 3 people my whole life. they actually truly understand it. And I think you understand it way, way higher than I understand it. This is your visual side that you're referring to.
Yeah.
Then you dive into your
verbal
side. Highlight, not, you got 1,000 points here, but in teaching, but give me the highlights.
Verbal's the most important.
Okay.
Why? Because copywriting and any type of marketing is the most valuable piece, right?
Okay.
You take an image and you take the copy. The image could be garbage. If the copy's good, you're still going to convert.
True.
You know that? Dan Kennedy's the perfect example of that.
True.
So the language in personal branding, I break it down into two main areas: your expert title and your unique selling proposition. The easiest way to explain an expert title is by telling you what it's not. So it's not CEO, it's not founder, it's not owner, co-owner, director, president, vice president. Those are all titles and positions in companies.
Okay.
Which if you're in the C office, it could give you some, you're the CEO, you're the CFO, CTO. But in the end of the day, it doesn't provide value for the person that's reading or hearing it.
Okay.
So a good expert title provides value and intrigue to whoever the viewer is. So I can introduce myself two different ways, and you tell me if you feel a difference in the way I introduce myself. So welcome everyone, my name is Rey Perez, and I'm owner and founder of AMP Productions. Okay. Welcome everyone, my name is Rey Perez, and I'm a global branding expert.
Yeah, so the difference, when I hear the difference here, here's what I hear. On the first one, you're telling me who you are and what you have done. And the second one, you're telling me how you can help me. That's how I felt.
Well, do you know what AMP Productions is?
I have no freaking clue.
So why would you care?
I thought AMG with Mercedes is what my mind was floating to.
Yeah, because we're car guys, but it doesn't matter.
No, it was
CEO,
irrelevant
founder, nobody cares. What's in it for them?
Yeah.
So you gotta have something that when you introduce yourself, they say, oh, that could be valuable for me. Now I have interest in this person. Otherwise, it's just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Second is USP. And the USP isn't just for personal brand, it's for business brand. Every business brand should have a unique selling proposition.
Okay.
And that's what separates you in the marketplace. And more importantly, it's not what you do, it's what you do for them.
Okay.
So I always give examples like making money, right? So your product, your service, your business can help someone make more money. But you don't want to tell them our product and service is going to help you make more money. What you want to say is, what will that money do for you? So I always ask, what are the benefits of the result? So if the result is making more money, what would you say are some benefits of when you have more money? What are some benefits?
I can travel more. I have more time with my family. I can go places. I can take care of my mom and dad, etc.
Perfect. Same answers that every single human being gives. Emphasis on the word being. And this is what I really teach. We're all energy. We're all connected, right? And when you think of it like this is business, no, this is a relationship which turns into business.
Yeah.
And I've learned to no longer focus on sales, no longer focus on trying to sell or convert anyone. I focus on building value and building a relationship with people, and they will choose to do business with me. And through a good, unique selling proposition, we talk about, how would you like to make more money? Of course. How would you like to travel the world, have time freedom, and be able to buy your family anything you want? Which one do you want more?
That latter one. Yeah.
And that is what a good USP is. So when we're talking about your personal brand, we want to have a good expert title that creates value and intrigue. So like, I want to learn more about this guy. And a good USP that says, I want some of that, or I know someone that can benefit from that. I want to introduce this person to Andrew because he or she can benefit from that.
And what does USP stand for?
Unique selling proposition.
When you say it, my initial thought is always thinking about USB ports. I'm thinking, just to make sure everybody knows that's not what you're talking about.
USP.
Which stands for unique selling proposition. And so inside of the unique selling proposition, what you're saying is breaking it down to where you're not saying, how would you like to make more money? Well, no crap. Everybody in business wants to have that answer or wants that process. What you're trying to get to is, what does that feeling feel like? Or what would the feeling feel like if you had more money and you could do what with it? And it kind of creates it's going to go back and go into the emotional side of what the person really wants.
It's always going to come back to that.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'll give everyone who's watching the formula. You write down the top 5 results that your product or service produces for the consumer. So write down what those top 5 results are. Then write 3 benefits of each one of the results. Whatever that is, that's the language that you're going to use to create your USP.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're really buying.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that, I've heard both answers here, I'm interested to see what you say. Do you think that a personal brand has to have a product to be a personal brand?
No.
Like has to be selling something?
No.
It does not. I've heard both ways.
No.
I've heard the personal brand does not have to have a product at all.
Well, do you want to monetize?
Well, that's what I think. I think this is where it gets tricky, because the other answer I hear is like, if you don't have a product, people will eventually leave you because you're giving them no exit ramp, if you will.
So the question you're asking me is, can you monetize a personal brand without a product?
Oh, that to me, that answer is yes. You can monetize a personal brand without an actual product that you created, built,
You just don't have longevity.
Yeah.
Because think about it, the way you make money is by promoting other people's products.
Sure.
So even though you have a following, you really don't have longevity because nothing's connected back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Like all these influencers and people who are getting paid. Oh, well, you said it. You said, hey, we were paying a couple $1 million to these influencers, and once we decided to turn off, that's it. They weren't making anything else.
Yeah.
If they had their own back-end product or their whatever product, they could continue that going on
right.
forever, or continue to.
Let's take for example, I'm just there thinking, let's take Gary Vee for example. One thing that Gary Vee always talks about is that he's not trying to sell you anything. I don't know if you ever heard him talk about that. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm not here to sell you anything, etc. And he doesn't have your typical normal product for sale.
This is a great question. I'm so happy you're asking me this.
Gary
Vee is a unicorn.
Okay.
There is no other Gary Vee.
You can put him inside that bucket, right?
He's a unicorn. Nobody can compare themselves to Gary Vee, and you shouldn't. It's silly if you're doing that.
Yeah.
Because Gary Vee is a guy who became very successful because he has a what agency?
A media agency.
He's a media agency, and he figured out that the number one thing is media, is content, is putting yourself out there. And he's used his own agency to build his brand to basically fulfill himself even more.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, it feels great when you make an impact in people's lives. Yes or no?
Oh, for sure.
Even if it doesn't make you any money.
Yeah.
He's already making money.
Right.
He didn't need to build his personal brand to make money. Gary Vee didn't do it for that. So when people talk about Gary Vee, why are we talking about Gary Vee? Nobody's like Gary Vee. Nobody was already successful enough and said, I'm going to use my own company and business to fulfill myself by just being able to contribute to others.
Yeah. It's something that I do think gives a fake sense of how to build a brand to the
It's not real. There's no freaking way anybody could do what Gary Vee did.
Yeah.
Because he was already successful. He already had millions of dollars, and he had every single resource available to do something that most companies who are successful don't even have.
Right.
So we can't ever, he's not a good example. And it pet peeves me for people to be like, what about Gary Vee? Well, what about Gary Vee? Don't compare yourself to Gary Vee. That's like when people compare themselves to Mark Zuckerberg. Well, unless you're going to go build Facebook, dude, I don't need to wear a suit. I can wear a hoodie. Look at Mark. I was like, you ain't Mark, man.
Yeah.
Like,
or what's the other one?
Steve Jobs.
Yeah, Steve Jobs.
Come on, like that.
Yeah.
So I feel it. There a context.
Yeah,
Andrew,
that's a good word.
One thing that most people do not consider when they're educating the entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
When I teach, I always clarify context.
Yeah.
Because something that you might tell me is the best marketing strategy in the world, and it might be, if we don't clarify the context for that marketing strategy, 90% of the people are going to bomb at it.
Right.
If it's not the right industry, if it's not the right vertical, if it's not the right media, if it's not the right timing, if it's not the right positioning, the right person, that strategy actually isn't useful.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that most info marketers, gurus, and branding, market, whatever it is, no one is talking about context. Mm-hmm. And that's why
content, but not context. Big difference between those two right there.
Huge.
I'm literally thinking about, I just grew up in a very religious home, right? Going to church all the time. And one of the things as I got older, as we started stopping and thinking for a second, we're like, I think they're taking that verse way out of context. It's not that the content wasn't there. You read the verse, right? But how you're using it in context was like not even remotely close to what it was supposed to be. But you made it fit a narrative that you needed at the time.
perfect analogy.
You know what I mean?
And this happens all the time.
Yeah.
So people are like, Gary Vee said this. Yeah, but that's not in the same context that you're in. So,
Oh, man.
so it's a true statement.
Yeah.
But there's no freaking context for you to be able to leverage that information for your business or for what your goals are.
Yeah, 100%. Boy, I'm gonna open a can of worms later on that word, because I've never thought about that. I've always thought about it in a religious setting, but I've never thought about it in a branding setting. And now, like, all these like connections are happening in my brain right now.
Well, business setting, period.
Yeah, business setting.
Business setting.
I just wrap my word around branding, but yeah, business setting in general. But there's so much context left out of so many things that I think it hurts so many people because of how they're using it. Just like in a church. Like, again, I was talking about Scientology for a second, but there's so many times, in a good way and a bad way, and I'm saying for a religion or against a religion, content is used out of context on either side of it that either helps and or hurts the religion, right? And I've never tied that philosophy to branding or business. But dude, it is so freaking true. Like, I'm having like this massive breakthrough on this desk right now of like, holy shit, I've never carried it into the branding side of like, dude, so much advice content is given, but without context. It's like, no, you cannot do that. I promise I tried it. You cannot do that. I know it's content, but it's out of context. Boy, that is brilliant, man. That might have been the truth of the freaking week I've had in today's Monday. So you hit that's a great point, man. Well, I'm
going to say something that a lot of people are going to disagree or not like that I say. And I preach this all the time. You know, entrepreneurs are constantly trying to figure out how to make money online.
Sure.
How to make money through social media more specifically. And the reality is there's very few people really making a profit when it comes to online or social media.
There's a difference. The reason I'm saying this is because you emphasize the word profit.
You know why I'm emphasizing? Because I don't care if you made $10 million this year.
Right.
If you only took home $200,000, then it doesn't make any difference. And unfortunately, this is happening all around us all the time.
Yeah.
Our company made this, we did this. No, you didn't make that, you sold that.
Yeah,
that's not what you made.
Those are your gross sales.
There's your gross sales. And some of it is commission to whoever. Then you have to take out costs, operating this and that.
Affiliate costs, whatever.
By the time most end up at a loss.
Yeah.
I mean, I
know many, many, many influencers, because they come in my office all the time, that you would think they're making a ton of money off of their social media
perception of their celebrity perception. You think they're crushing it.
Yeah. And then we start talking, and once you start opening up, you realize they spend more in, I'm going to say, production and cost, etc., to make these videos, to get them onto YouTube, so that you will watch them and view them, so that they would get a paycheck off of YouTube. They have actually spent more than they're actually going to make off of it. And they're just trying to figure out, what is this next long-term play move that I can make? Because I have this following, but if I don't spend this, I can't produce Y, and therefore I can't get this check, which is enough to carry this over here.
See, that is a true statement.
Yeah.
And most entrepreneurs and most people are not clear on that.
But it goes back to your word, perception.
The entire book is based on the perception of value and how to properly do this, right? But without having a real product or a real service that makes a difference in someone's life, right? Because you could still have a product and it doesn't actually produce any results. I still disagree with that. But people nowadays, because of the emotional feeling that it gives them, will do exactly what you said and are not really making any money and are just surviving. But because they're feeling all these followers, all these likes, all this, it releases dopamine in the brain.
Yep.
And then it feels good. So they're doing it because it feels good, even though it's not necessarily profitable.
Yeah. Real quick, if someone wants to get a copy of your book, Cracking the Celebrity Code, where's the best place for them to go to get a copy?
The best place for everything Rey Perez is rayperez360.com.
Okay. My
social medias, my book, my podcast, my TV show, my contact information, everything's in there. rayperez360.com.
rayperez360.com. They can go to that site, which is a unique product you built, which I'm going to get to in just a second. So wrapping up the 3 V's, you have the visual aspect, you have the verbal aspect, and the last one is the value aspect. And you said the visual, you said the verbal.
I said verbal's most important.
Yeah.
But it value's the most valuable.
Okay.
Why? And most entrepreneurs skip this until you get to a certain point in your career where you realize that it's not all about money.
Yep.
And like, wow, I have the fancy cars. I got the nice clothes. I got the really nice watch. I got the nice house, but I still feel a little empty inside. Why is this? I thought success was having all this. No, it's not. Success is really about contribution. Success is about giving. It's about connection. And we as human beings on this planet, we're meant to be here for each other and to do life together. And, you know, you're talking about, I've been raised in a faith-based family, and I'm a very faith-based entrepreneur, which I share in every single one of my events. And I believe really what is success is the fulfillment that we have inside, from the inside. And then the outer success is just a gauge of what we're doing in the world. So once I started to shift to more focusing on how can I create value, how can I build better relationships, how can I serve more, then the money just started coming on its own. And it grew. And even this, having a lot of money and nice things doesn't fulfill you. So even if I had less money, but I was more fulfilled, then you're actually happier. There's a lot of millionaires and billionaires that are depressed and that are empty. And when it comes to your value, most entrepreneurs don't consider why they do what they do. They know what they do, how they do it, but most of them never sat and thought, why do I do this? So what I challenge my entrepreneurs is to start with why and work backwards. Why? Because people can connect with your visual, they connect with the verbal, and it gets them engaged, it gets them locked in. But what's gonna keep them there is that value identity. It's what they can connect with. Reason being, see, I care, I'm a philanthropic type of person. I give back to a lot of different charities, specifically that have to do with children. I'm always working on children's education, teaching them mentorship, teaching them entrepreneurship skills, having my entrepreneur clients mentor them. See, that's something that's part of my value. That's part of my system. And you might say, you know what, Ray? I love that. I want to support, I want to help you in supporting that. All of a sudden, we are connected on a value that we both have. Has nothing to do with business. But now because you share that value that I have, you feel more connected emotionally to me, which means if you're gonna choose to do business with someone for branding, you're gonna do business with the guy that you're emotionally connected with, opposed to the other people who are just trying to sell you their product or service.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, for sure.
And then we can use Gary Vee as an example, right? People are emotionally connected to him because of what he's sharing and how he's being so open and transparent and blah, blah, blah. They just have this emotional connection. So most of them don't even know why they're following him.
Yeah.
Because they agree or connect with his why, his ideals, his mission, his purpose. And that's why he has this incredible amount of followers, which he's right, doesn't even really connect with business. He's not selling anything.
Yeah.
But because he leads with his why, more people connect with him than any other entrepreneur out there. Does that make sense?
Oh, for sure. I'm thinking about, we have that event, our mastermind called Power Room, right? And inside of it, in my belief, when it comes to business, I base off of the 3 C's, which is called connections, collaborations, and cause. And in our Power Room, there's all these connections, right? Of people making this connection here and connecting this person, and then once they're connected, then the next phase is collaboration. Hey, what do you do? What do I do? What can we do together? How can I support you? Whatever it is, right? There's collaborations, but I have never, ever seen a group of people come more connected and do more stuff together than when you added the cause or the value inside of the room all of a sudden. And once you move, here's this room of connections, collaborations, and I just set a cause in front of everybody. And because it was a cause that anybody could believe in, which is actually, mine was, I was fighting child sex trafficking. It's like, okay, how can you not be for that? Like, what are you denying? You know what I mean? It immediately, like, poof, in that 1-2 hour session, it revolutionized the room. Because then it's like, hey, no matter that I'm doing this and you're doing this and you're doing this and you guys connected, but we connected over here, it was irrelevant. It's like all of a sudden, we all got on the same page. And we said, hey, we're all different, but we all can connect or have the value system, which the word you use is value, of this right here. So it was like, poof, overnight, or in 2 hours, the room changed drastically. So because we agree on the values.
So you have an actual live example that you've experienced and gone through. And what I challenge entrepreneurs to consider is, or you, connection, collaboration, cause, connection, collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
Lead with the value.
Yeah.
And watch how the dynamic will change.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And I'm being the first one, like I'm changing from branding, marketing, this to this is my cause to really educate underprivileged youth and really be of contribution and of service. I'm creating this socially conscious business program, getting people connected on that, and then teaching how can you be more effective through branding, through marketing.
Yeah.
And I'm leading with that. And I truly believe when you look at the certain companies like Apple who lead with their value first,
interesting.
It just separates them. I mean, there is no comparison between Apple and IBM or Microsoft. There's no freaking comparison between the two. Why? Because they start with their core values and they work backwards. Yeah. Then they do the what and the how. So I'd invite you to consider coming up your power room to start it with the cause. Hey, we might all come from different places. We all have different successes, but we're all here because there's one cause that we are committed to, and we would like your support in collaboration with that. And through you guys being here, this is how we can do this. And then we dive into the connection and to the collaboration. I invite you to consider that.
Yeah, no, I'm role playing in my head right now, like walking through how does it look, and maybe actually thinking about Instagram and social media and how I produce content.
Your following will grow dramatically faster. Because they're gonna connect with that.
Yeah.
Yes, the visual and the verbal gets their attention, but the value is what creates that connection.
Right.
And as you've started to do this a little bit over the last year, you're starting to realize that connection transpires into more, and there's a ripple effect. But if we lead with that, you'll get the connections, which I believe is the one thing that Gary Vee did really good. Mm-hmm. That he created that value connection with people.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a great point, man. My brain is now spinning on like, how could I play this? How could I make these moves? Because it's a great point, because if that is really my end goal, right? Let's just say for me, because I'm passionate about this cause, and there's 1,000 causes out there, right? But this is just one for whatever reason. Like I've never experienced it, but something draws me to it, right? Mm-hmm. And leading with the cause first, or the value first, mm-hmm. and then going into your connections and collaborations. I'm just role playing in my head of what a cool, because that has to be my end goal, if you will.
Well, think about it.
It is my why.
You're not doing this just for money. You have enough money. You're
right.
Good. You're comfortable. It's great to make more money, but what do you do with more money? You give more.
It has to be for this bigger. It has to be, in my opinion, for a bigger.
Why would we try to make more money to give more? We should start by giving more, and then the more money will come.
Dude, it's so funny. I'm gonna tell you this funny story, I saw this TikTok and I was dying laughing because it was these three girls, women, and they're like three moms, and they were acting like this California celebrity superstar. They weren't, but they were acting like it. And they were talking about how some town, and I think they were making it up, but they said some town in Iowa, they were struggling with having like crap in their water. And in this TikTok, they like bouncing back and forth, and she's like, yeah, I made a post, I donated awareness. That was like her whole concept was what I donated was awareness. Like, and they're like, and then they were talking about it and they're like clapping for her. And it's like, one of the women is like, well, can I make a post about it as well? She's like, well, it's kind of my thing. I don't really want you to share it. It's like, because it was her thing. And it's like such a backward mentality that we have of donating and the cause. But dude, I love the point of what you're talking about of value first, then the verbal, and then the vision in your 3 V's there inside of it. Really quick, because I can't believe I was at the time like, oh crap, this is one of those that could go forever. I want to talk about the 360 website, because I know you have the branding that you could go on for literally freaking days on, right? But then you created this, really a tool that's never been created for, of like, how do you get it out though?
Yep.
Right? How do you get, like, there's Instagram and all these different platforms, and like, how do you get this crap out, right, to everybody? And you created not a social media platform. I don't want anybody to misunderstand. It's not a social media platform, but if you know anything about it, there's a lot of moving parts inside of a brand in marketing and advertising, if you will. Tell me about the 360 site.
So there was two problems I wanted to solve.
Yeah.
Number one was I understood that people research one another and they Google, and usually social medias pop up and maybe some other things. And that's how they do due diligence.
Yeah.
That's how they build rapport, they build connection, they build value. And I was already aware that what they see, what they hear, and what they read increases that celebrity connection. So I said, how can I give people what they're already searching for? How can I give it to them faster, simpler, packaged on a silver platter, which will also give me those extra exposures that I'm aware that the more that they see, the more that they read, the more they hear, the faster my celebrity status will create in their perception. How can I give this to them all in one shot? Because putting this all on your website just makes your website a monster that would just be confusing and horrible to navigate.
Well, the other thing that you say, 100% agree. And the other thing that you mentioned is, once someone is on your website, the last thing you want them to do is leave your website to go to your Instagram.
Marketing 101.
Right? Yeah, you mentioned that earlier.
You don't get people to your website and then want them to go to Instagram. That's like ridiculous.
Right.
So it's the reverse. So I said, what if I can give people all my social media platforms, my videos, my book, my everything, and then they'll end up on my website when we're going to do business because they've already built that relationship. So I said, it would be so cool if I had all my links in one place.
Yeah.
So I got with the development team, and that's what we created. And I called it a 360 site because it's not my website, and it's not replacing anybody's website. 360 means this is how we connect with you 360 degrees. Whether it's your social media, whether it's your website, whether it's your cell phone, your office, your WhatsApp, your email address, your videos, your book, your podcast, your talk show, your charity, you name it. A lot of entrepreneurs have multiple collaterals in the world. And the more you start to realize that the branding and the exposure, the content is beneficial, the more you'll have. Well, and how do you organize all that? Yeah. And that was the last piece of the puzzle. So I'm the branding guy. I got all this amazing branding. How the heck do I get it to someone? Yep. I'm going to send you an email with 6 websites, 8 social medias, 7 videos. You're
all
gonna
links.
What, like a list of like? Have you ever gotten that email from the person with? And how did you feel when you got that email?
Overwhelmed and like, dude, I have time. I don't have time to go through all this right now.
Right, the rolling of the eyes, like, what the? Are you serious? This you can, and I remember getting from somebody, or they'll message you on, or you'll DM you on Facebook or Instagram, video, this. I'm like, what the heck is he doing? So I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I just knew that that's not the way to do it because all you're going to do is push people away. So how do I still get all of my content in front of you, but only send you one link?
Yeah.
That's how the 360 site was born. Since then, there's been tons of competitors like Linktree and all these linking systems, but nobody's ever looked at the psychology of what's happening. They just said, hey, we want to have all our links in one place, which makes sense. But nobody is considering that it looks salesy, that it feels like they're being pushy. And they're not organizing it in a fashion which is very non-salesy, very clean, no scrolling, and you have multiple options. And then the one thing that we added, because I'm the marketing guy, is we created marketing scripts on how you can network more efficiently, how you can do introductions and referrals to elevate that perception of value. So ours isn't just a way to bring everything together, it's also a system how to market yourself and your brand more effectively all together in one. Yeah. And one of the things that we've done is we've created a charity aspect to it. Like my book, for example, anyone who purchases my book, 100% of the proceeds go to our nonprofit organization, which is called Influence with Love. What I believe is, we should just bring more love in the world, whether it's business, whatever it is, like love is the number one thing that I believe we should all be pushing for, right? Right. You want to be anti-war, well, you should be pro-peace, right? So if we want less hate in the world, we want to be pro-love. And that's really what I share and what I'm all about. So the 360 site has just allowed me to just get myself out into the world easier, build faster connections, build better relationships, get more exposure, and increase my brand awareness.
Yeah. No, I would say I spent some time walking through it with you, and it's incredible for exactly what it does. It's not trying to replace your website, right? A lot of times people think you're trying to be their website for them, and dude, that is not at all what you're trying to do.
Nope.
You're trying to find a way to easily communicate, here's all these things, marketing messages, if you will, non-sales approach of just, hey, this is my stuff. You want to get to know me. Here's how you get to know me with one link.
That's it.
One text.
Yeah.
You get to know you.
And then, the one thing I want all the viewers listening is it isn't just that. We have an entire marketing strategy. So if you're a speaker, if you're an author, if you're a coach, if you're a consultant, what we do on the back end with our training is next level.
Yeah.
The majority of entrepreneurs are not operating at that level, do not have that type of technology, don't have those type of strategies. Because in the end of the day, I believe that the only thing more valuable than money is time.
Yeah.
So I'm always, I told you that my nickname is the process.
Yeah.
How can we create a system or process to get more done in a shorter amount of time? If I'm gonna network with someone, how can I get more network connections and do less work?
Right.
And that's what I created, leveraging the 360 and technologies, which is what we teach. So whether you're going to a networking event, you're going to the conference, I go to your mastermind event, I guarantee you I'll make more contacts and be better situated than any other person in the room.
Yeah, there's no way around it.
Never, ever have I seen anybody be able to do what I can accomplish in a room like that.
Yeah. If they want to know more about the 360 site, where's the best place for them to go?
RayPerez360.com.
I had a feeling you were going to say that. RayPerez360.com.
Ask me for anything. What's your podcast? Where's your talk show? Where's your anything?
RayPerez360.com. These are the places they can go to learn more about it. I want to ask you my final question here, talk about money. And we got the money is signed here for you. And this one you were, looks like, was that the gray?
Yeah, that's
you talk about the three different kind of colors, the gray, white colors there. So this is money is, I want you to put your answer here. And I might have picked up on what it was, we'll see. And then sign the big John Hancock right there. And then give that back to me, and then me and you can go through what that means to you and why. All right, here we go. So Rey Perez out of Miami, Florida, the global branding expert, says money is, and his answer is love. Money is love by Rey Perez. That is not what I thought you were going to say, actually. At the very end there, you said the only thing more valuable than money is time. And so I thought, oh, I wonder if he's going to go with time. You said money is love. Go into why. What does it mean?
Well, I believe money is what you use it for.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mentioned before, I got to a point where I had enough money, right? I mean, I can always have more money, right? But I have a few cars, I have a nice place. I thank God that I'm so blessed that if there's anything that I want, I can just go on Amazon and buy it.
Yeah, it's very true.
You know what I mean?
God.
New pair of shoes, click,
I bought it in the office today. I was like, oh, I got another pair of shoes.
Oh, it's a new one, click, buy it.
So you didn't think about it.
So, I'm just so grateful that I can do that. But what I'm more grateful to do is what I can do with that money and how I can show love to others. So just recently, it was my dad's 60th birthday, and my dad loves movies, specifically like DVDs. He's got a DVD collection. No. He's got thousands of DVDs. Even though we don't use DVDs anymore, he loves it, right? His walls are full of DVDs. So he had this 65-inch Toshiba TV from like 6 years ago. So I bought him an 86-inch Samsung flat screen mounted on the wall, biggest TV I could find.
Yeah.
And I wasn't there when it got delivered, and he called me up and said, oh my God. And then he said, what did I do to deserve this? And then he got really quiet, and then he started crying.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is what money is for. Mm-hmm. I bought my grandfather a car, I bought my aunt, my nieces, what you can do with it. Like, I donate to several nonprofit organizations on top of having my own, and what we can do for these causes, what we can do for people. So I believe that how we use our money is a reflection of who we are and the fulfillment that you have. There's no car that I can buy for myself that's going to make me feel like I did being able to buy that TV for my dad.
Yeah. No.
So I believe that money is what we make of it, and I believe money is a way for you to show love.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. Money has to be, you have to do something with it. And earlier we were talking about this. Anytime you chase money, it never freaking works out, man. It is like this, I keep saying this on this show, it's just like a mirage that you're in the desert and you just keep chasing this puddle of water that doesn't exist. And in my own life, I mean, when I first got started, I was always chasing money. And it wasn't until I was kind of refocused and said, well, I don't even want money. I actually want what I'm going to do with money is what I'm looking for, which is more about love, which is more about help, which is more about family, which is more about influence, impact. That's what I was really looking for. And when I put my focus there, value, when I put my focus there, is when I began to find money, but it's only because I wasn't looking for it.
And I'm sure you started to find more partners too.
Oh, dude, they come out of the woodworks for me. Like right now, it's like I'm just one of those guys that I could literally make 200 phone calls right now and start almost any business I want to start, and probably have someone else put the money in for me. But it's only because I'm not actually looking for that. I'm actually just looking to help something, whatever that value is for me. That's all I'm actually trying to do.
Yep.
And the business is just a vehicle of how I can go achieve more of that. So when I would go, if I want to go start a business with someone, I would lean into it more of actually exactly what you're talking about. I wouldn't lean into it of like how much money we could make. I would lean into it on like the value side of it, of what we could do if we did this and this. Here's what we could accomplish with it. I literally just recently started a business, and that's actually how we started talking about it from the get-go of what we could do, because neither one of us actually needed a business. But it was like, oh man, we could do this, we could do, and I don't mean do like buy a new car or buy a new house. That's not what I was talking about that. Yeah, it was impact. Like, oh man, what if we could do this, and then we could start this charity, feed this. You know what I mean?
I do. I know exactly what you mean.
That's what you're talking about. We're talking about the value, the love.
The challenge is most entrepreneurs don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I didn't for years and years and years.
I didn't either.
I just kept. I feel like I was just running in circles, man, chasing my own tail.
And it didn't matter how much more money you made.
No, because I would make money. It wasn't that I didn't make money. It was just that it didn't matter what I made. It was like, well, that's not what I'm looking for. It's
like,
not,
what's missing? What's missing? And then finally you realize, well, it's what you can do with the money and how you can contribute and how you can add value. And when you're going to do something, that's why I say start with the why.
Yeah, start with that value.
Because if you start with that, then just talking about it, we feel passionate, we feel good about it, right? Yeah. We want to go start a business together because we're on such the same page. Well, that's how your customers will feel. They'll want to do business with you. They'll want to promote you because of that why, because of that purpose, because of that value.
Because of the value that you guys have connected on.
That's correct.
Which also then creates an immediate emotional connection because you believe in the same system.
And it becomes their beliefs.
Yeah.
It's not just yours, it's theirs.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, and then the visual and the verbal back up because you got to get their attention. We got to get them to listen to you. But the value is what gets them locked in.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I absolutely love talking to you, Rey Perez, and I do this. One of those people I get to just talk to, sit here for. I rarely get to talk to someone that I just feel like truly understands branding. A ton of people understand marketing and advertising and sales, but very few people do I ever get to just chit chat with about branding. And then you have such a unique piece of the branding that you completely dominate. And the title, if maybe the word is not title, but the definition or introduction of global branding expert is a true title for what you do.
Thank you.
Because I have a good understanding of branding, and you're talking content circles around me about branding. So it's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope I can talk more about branding with you. If you guys want to follow Rey Perez, if you want to know more about his book, Cracking the Celebrity Code, if you want to get his 360 website, I'm going to give you one place, and one place only to go to, which is ReyPerez360.com. So you guys can check out ReyPerez360.com. And do not forget, Rey Perez says money is love. Money is love. We'll see you guys next week on the Money Is Show.